3 Ram transmissions, 200,000 miles, one clear winner, and it's not the smoothest or the strongest. I'm Buck, 12 years a Mopar dealer tech, and I've had all 3 apart on my bench. Let's settle it. These are the 3 transmissions Ram owners ask me about more than any others. The 545 RFA behind the half-ton gas trucks, the 68 RFA behind the Cummins in the heavy-duty rigs, and the ZF8 Speed in the modern 1500s. I've torn down all 3 on my bench more times than I can remember, pulled them apart, laid the clutch packs out on the table, measured the wear, found out exactly what gives up first and what refuses to die. This isn't a brochure comparison. This is what these things look like after 200,000 miles when the covers come off. And I want to be clear about what I mean by tested. I'm not quoting a spec sheet or a press release. I mean I've had the bell housings off, the pans down, the valve bodies on the bench, the clutch packs spread out under a light where you can read the wear on every friction disc. 20 years of that. You learn things tearing transmissions apart that no brochure will ever print, which parts Chrysler and which ones they cut to hit a price. That's the lens I'm judging these 3 through. Here's the criterion I'm judging by, because it matters. I'm not crowning the smoothest shifter. I'm not crowning the one that holds the most torque. Those are easy wins, and I'll tell you straight who takes them. What I care about, what every owner who wants to keep a truck past 200,000 should care about, is 2 things. 1. Which transmission is still most likely to be running at 200,000 miles in the first place? 2. When it does need help, which one is the cheapest to bring back to life? Survivability plus cost of recovery. That's the whole game when you're trying to keep a truck on the road instead of trading it every 5 years like the dealer wants you to. The answer surprises most people. It surprised some of my own customers when I told them. Stick with me, because the winner isn't the one the spec sheet points to. Start with the 545 RFA, the workhorse behind the half-ton gas. This is the transmission you've got if you're running a 3.7, a 4.7, or a 5.7 HEMI from about 2003 onward. It came out of the RFA family. The 45 RFA was the 4-speed precursor, and the 545 RFA added a real overdrive to make it a 5-speed. In 2012, Chrysler rebadged it as the 65 RFA, same basic architecture, new software, a 6th gear bolted into the logic. Underneath, it's the same family of parts I've been rebuilding for 2 decades. It runs on ATF plus 4. Write that down, because it matters when we get to the ZEF later. These fluids are not the same, and mixing them up is how good transmissions die young. How does the 545 RFA fail? The solenoid pack is usually first to act. The valve body wears, the bores open up, line pressure gets sloppy, and shifts start hunting. The overdrive and reverse clutches are the high wear items, and when the fluid's been neglected long enough, the whole thing drops into limp mode to protect itself. That's the failure ladder I see, in that order, almost every time. When I get one apart on the bench, the story's always the same. The clutch packs wear, but they wear slow, and they wear predictable. The hard parts, the planetary gear sets, the shafts, the pump, those almost never let go. It's the soft parts and the electronics that age, and both of those are cheap. The solenoid pack bolts in. The valve body lifts out as a unit. The filter sits right there when the pan comes down. Nothing about this transmission fights you, and that limp mode, everybody curses, 2nd gear only. No overdrive, that's not the transmission dying. That's it protecting itself, getting you home before you cook a clutch. Most owners panic and call it dead. Half the time it just wants a solenoid pack and clean fluid. I had a half-ton come into my shop a while back, 5.7 HEMI, 210,000 miles, towing a landscaping trailer 5 days a week. Owner said it stopped pulling into overdrive and the check engine light was throwing a solenoid code. He figured it was done, figured he was looking at a new truck. I pulled the pan. The fluid was dark, but not burnt. He'd actually serviced it, just late. Dropped the valve body, found the solenoid pack had a stuck pintle, and the overdrive clutch was glazed, but not gone. rebuilt the valve body, new solenoid pack, fresh overdrive clutch pack, new filter, correct fluid. $2,600 out the door. He drove that truck another 90,000 miles before he sold it running. That's the 545 Orphe in a sentence. It's not fancy, it's not the strongest thing Chrysler ever built. But when it breaks, almost any shop in the country can fix it without taking a second mortgage. A rebuild runs $2,500 to $3,000 on a half-ton. The 545 Orphe doesn't die dramatic, it complains for a long time before it quits, and it gives you every chance to save it cheap. Service it every 30,000 miles, pan down and a fresh filter, and one of these will outlast the engine bolted in front of it. The ones that die early all share the same story. Nobody opened it up until it was already screaming. If you're finding this useful, hit subscribe and drop a comment below telling me which transmission is under your truck right now. I read them and they tell me what to tear into next. Now the 68 Orphe, the heavy-duty tank behind. Let me clear up the biggest myth first, because owners get this wrong all the time. The 68 Orphe was never bolted to a 1500. Never. It's exclusive to the 2500 and 3500 trucks sitting behind the 6.7 Cummins from 2007.5 onward. It shares the Orphe name with the half-ton units, but the gear train inside is a completely different animal, heavier, beefier, built from the ground up to handle diesel torque that would tear a 545 Orphe to confetti. It runs on ATF plus 4, same as the half-ton Orphe family. And when it's maintained and left alone, it's genuinely one of the toughest automatics Chrysler has ever put behind a diesel. I've had these apart at 300,000 miles with original clutches still in spec. When they're treated right, they're tanks. But every tank has a weak spot, and on the 68 Orphe, it's the torque converter. That's the #1 failure point, hands down. The converter lockup clutch can't always keep up with the heat and load of a Cummins working hard, especially on a tuned truck. The other vulnerability is line pressure control through the valve body push big torque. Add a tune that bumps the power, and the pressure management starts struggling to hold the clutches without slip. Slip makes heat. Heat kills. On the bench, the 68 Orphe is a different class of part from the half-ton units. Thicker clutches, more of them, a heavier input shaft, a pump built to move serious volume. The gear sets shrug off torque that would strip a 545 Orphe to confetti. But that converter is the one piece Chrysler didn't overbuild enough for a hard-working, tuned Cummins. When a guy wants this transmission to live behind big power, the first thing I do is drop in a billet multi-disc converter. That single part cures the biggest weakness in the whole unit. The factory converter is the heartbreak. The aftermarket one turns the 68 Orphe into the tank it always should have been. I had a Cummins owner roll in 2,500, 240,000 miles, use the truck to haul a goosenecked equipment trailer for his excavation business. Heavy work, every day. He came in with a shutter underload and a smell I recognized before I even got it on the lift. Torque converter was cooked. The lockup clutch had been slipping for months, and he'd been driving through it. By the time I got inside, the converter was scrap, and the contamination had worked into the valve body. Rebuild plus a new heavy-duty converter ran him just over $500. He didn't blink, said it was cheaper than 2 weeks of downtime on a new truck. That's the Cummins crowd for you. Here's the tell, so you catch it cheap. A dying 68 Orphe converter shudders a vibration on lockup, usually around 40 to 50 miles an hour or under load. Feel that early, and you swap a converter for a fraction of a full rebuild. Drive through it the way he did, and the metal off that dying converter circulates through the whole transmission and turns a converter job into a teardown. The difference between catching it and ignoring it is a few $1,000s. That's the 68 Orphe. It pulls harder than anything else in this comparison, and it'll outlive the truck if you keep the converter healthy and skip the big tunes. But when it goes, the bill is heavy, $4,000 to $6,000 on a rebuild, and the converter is the expensive heartbreaker every time. Strongest of the three, No argument. Cheapest to recover? Not even close. Now the ZF8 Speed, the modern one. And right here is where most people, even some mechanics, get it wrong, so let me set it straight. The ZF8 Speed comes in two flavors depending on what's up front. Put a 3.6 Pentastar V6 in the truck and you get the 845 RE Chrysler's licensed build of the ZF8 HP45 rated around 330 pound-feet. It cannot live behind a HEMI. The V8's torque would tear it apart. Put the 5.7 HEMI up front and you get the heavier original straight from ZF, the 8 HP70. Different case, bigger clutches, a stronger converter, rated to handle 516 pound-feet. On the newest trucks that became the 8 HP75, same idea, beefed up again. They share a family, but the V6 box and the HEMI box are not the same transmission, and anybody who tells you a HEMI runs an 845 RE has never had both apart on a bench. The HEMI trucks have run the 8 HP70 from 2013 on. 8 gears. Silky, efficient. It's the same transmission family BMW and Jaguar use, and on the road there's no contest it shifts smoother than anything else Chrysler has ever offered in a truck. It's rated to handle around 516 pound-feet, which is comfortably more than the 65 RF's 420. On paper and on the test drive, the ZF wins going away. Here's where it bites you. The ZF runs ZF Lifeguard 8 fluid, specification 682-18925AB. It does not run ATF plus 4. Put the wrong fluid in this transmission and you don't get a warning, you get a slow death. The friction characteristics are wrong, the clutches start to slip and burn, and the mechatronic unit starts making decisions based on pressure that isn't behaving the way the computer expects. And that mechatronics unit is the second problem. It's the brain valve body and electronics integrated into one assembly inside the case. When it fails, you're not rebuilding a valve body for a few $100s. You're replacing a mechatronic unit that starts at $1,500 and climbs from there before labor. Let me kill the myth that puts more of these in my shop than anything else. For years, ZF and the dealer called this thing sealed for life, no service, no dipstick, nothing to check. That's a lie. The fluid breaks down like any other fluid. Service it every 60 to 80,000 miles with the correct Lifeguard 8, done at the right temperature with the right fill procedure, and this transmission is genuinely brilliant. It'll run 300,000 miles smoother than anything else here. The ZF isn't fragile, it's unforgiving. It demands the right fluid and a real interval, and in return, it asks for nothing. Give it neither, and it hands you the most expensive bill of the three. The other killer is heat with no maintenance. It runs a thermal bypass to warm up fast for efficiency, which is fine until the fluid's old and the heat has nowhere good to go. Old fluid, heat, and the tightest tolerances of any transmission here add up to a mechatronics unit making bad decisions. It's a precision instrument. Treat it like one. And if you bought yours used and don't know its history, that's the first thing to sort out. Get the fluid checked and the spec confirmed before you tow a single pound with it. A ZF that's been fed the wrong fluid even once is living on borrowed time, and you'd rather find that out now on a lift than at 70 miles an hour with a trailer swaying behind you. I had a 1500 Cummins HEMI, 195,000 miles, owner bought it used and had no idea what was ever put in it. It started flaring between shifts and dropping hard into the lower gears. I pulled a fluid sample and it didn't smell right too thin, wrong color for Lifeguard 8. Somewhere in that truck's life, a shop had put ordinary Mopar transmission fluid in it, wrong friction characteristics, wrong everything for an 8-speed that only tolerates Lifeguard 8. The clutches were glazed and the mechatronics was throwing pressure faults. Between the mechatronic unit and a full rebuild with the correct fluid, that repair cost $5,000 on a truck that books for maybe 14. He almost walked away from it. That's the ZF. Respect the fluid and it'll pamper you for 200,000 miles. Neglect it or let the wrong shop near it, and the recovery bill is the steepest of the three. Smoothest to drive, easily. Cheapest to keep alive, at high mileage, no. Put all three on the bench side by side and the pattern is plain. The 545 RFA wears slow and cheap. The 68 RFA is bulletproof everywhere except the one part you can upgrade for a few $100s. The ZF is the finest piece of engineering of the three and the least forgiving of neglect. Strength, smoothness, simplicity, something always. Eventually, let's go. So the question is, which one matches how you actually use your truck and how deep your pockets run when it does? So here's the verdict, and I'll give it to you straight with the reasons. The clear winner, on my criteria survivability plus cost of recovery, is the 545 RFA. Now hear me out, because I already told you it doesn't win everything. The ZF wins the drive. If you want the smoothest, most refined transmission, the ZF takes it without breaking a sweat. The 68 RFA wins raw strength. If you're pulling heavy with a Cummins, nothing in this lineup touches it for brute torque capacity. I'm not pretending otherwise. Those are real wins, and I'd never tell you different. But the question I'm answering is which one keeps a truck on the road to 300,000 miles without a repair bill that buries you? And on that question, the 545 RFA takes it. It's simple. There's no mechatronic brain to replace at $1,500. There's no torque converter that costs as much as a used motorcycle when it lets go. Parts are everywhere, every parts store, every junkyard, every shop in the country has seen 1,000 of these. A rebuild is $2,500, not $5.5. There isn't a transmission shop in America that can't fix one in their sleep. The ZF spoils you right up until the fluid or the mechatronics bites, and then it bites hard. The 68 RFA pulls like a freight train until the converter gives up, and then the bill lands like one. The 545 RFA just keeps complaining and limping and asking for cheap help and giving you the chance to give it. For the owner who wants a truck that lasts a long time without a transmission bill that makes him sick, the 545 RFA is the one I'd bet my own money on reaching 300,000 miles. It's not the best transmission, it's the best survivor. And survival is the whole point. So here's how I'd leave it. If you tow heavy behind a Cummins, you've already got the 68 RFA, and it's the right tool. Put a real converter in it and service it hard. If you've got a modern 1500 with the ZF, don't fear it, feed it the right fluid on a real interval and it'll outlast you. But if you're shopping a high mileage Ram and you want the lowest risk, cheapest to own transmission of the three, find the one running a 545 RFA. It won't impress anybody at a stoplight. It'll just keep running and keep being cheap to fix. Long after the fancier units have handed somebody a bill they couldn't believe. Whatever's under your truck 545, 68, or ZF the fluid service at interval is the line between 200,000 miles and the junkyard. Skip it, and none of this matters. Next week I'm tearing into 3 Ram engines after 200,000 miles, and the winner there surprised even me. Subscribe so you don't miss it. That's it from the shop. See you then.